Okay, and we're back. This cord is hanging on my headphones cord. Hold on.
Hanging.
Hanging.
He's hanging out. Now. Yeah, it's just, you think we would have gone past cords.
You think cords would be a thing of
like
never.
Plugging in your iPhone, you think it would just free charge from the air.
Yeah,
like,
and it's so funny.
It could just pick up ions.
Well, they have, Jason, they have the Israelis, these Israeli scientists came out with this long-range infrared charging. So they have a thing up in the room like a light.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does is it beamforms the energy down to the phone.
Yeah, see, that's perfect.
So the case, it has to have a receiving case to take in.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. That.
But eventually you could take that alloy and make the case out of that.
And out of the alloy, and then you're just walking around.
Yeah, and then, well, I'm pretty sure. I heard Elon Musk is working on a Tesla phone. Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, then I'm pretty sure it's going to be badass.
No, it's going to be.
Hopefully he's like Steve Jobs at that shit.
He better be half decent with it.
Like say, hey, here's a whole new operating system. Here's a whole.
Imagine if you had a ton of cash and you're like, I just want to totally wreck this market.
Yeah.
You do a great job. You know what I mean? It'd be very easy to do.
Oh, yeah. Because Apple settled on their laurels.
Yeah, which is
Google's just making ad money.
Google's a joke.
Yeah, so all the big tech, Microsoft, I mean, come on. Like, when's the last time they're like IBM back in the day.
Yeah. All Google does is sell storage and sell people's data.
Yeah. Amazon selling storage. And I wonder if they even make money off their products or if it's just AWS they're making money off of.
I think it's actually off the AWS.
Yeah.
Prime subscription and AWS.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if they'd make money off anything else.
I need to listen to one of their calls. They got that new CEO. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, they're probably
the red phone. Pick that up.
It's not working.
So I want to talk about.
Oh, we are talking about something.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. It's TARTLE, and we have 225 countries listening.
Thank you, everybody.
And this is a word that a lot of people don't like.
Careful now.
Yeah, they don't like this word because it conjures up either, for some, it conjures up like hopelessness. For others, I think it conjures up like this negative guilt.
What are you going to say?
The word responsibility.
Oh, responsibility. You know, when people hear that, it charges them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got to be responsible. The hardest thing for most human beings, I feel really relaxed this morning. The hardest thing for most human beings is to be responsible for their actions.
Yes.
There's a couple reasons for that. The first one is it becomes much easier to ignore your past and outcomes that don't work in your favor if you choose not to be responsible. Maybe I pass the responsibility off to someone else by essentially blaming them.
Right.
Right? Or I say that, oh, that's a problem. I should have somebody else take care of it for me. Why should anybody come in and take care of you if you're not going to take care of yourself?
Or the worst is turning a blind eye.
Or turn a blind eye. Right? That's not responsible. So here's an easy example. And I've probably given this before. There's trash on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk by and I'm like, somebody should pick that up. And I did that for probably about 3 months, saying that same damn thing. And then I was like, you know what? Why is it anyone else's fucking responsibility to pick up that trash? I'm looking at it for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I would have already had it picked up.
Yes.
If it's bothering me so much, just make it my responsibility to take care of the planet.
Well, I think it also becomes to the point of it's not my responsibility because I'm separate.
Yeah, but you're not. That's
we're not. We're all one in the sense of everything that we do interacts and plays with each other.
And that's a difficult concept for a lot of people to understand, is that very small changes have massive, absolutely massive chains of cause and effect that affect us all over the globe. People will be surprised to know that the sands that come from the deserts of Libya and Algeria, right, and Sudan actually make their way all the way up in the atmosphere and deposit themselves in the Midwest of the United States to help with our farming. So when someone screws something up over in Africa, it screws up our crops here in the U.S., just in that one stance.
But it's so funny. We negate responsibility because we want to blame someone else. But we don't realize, and I don't want to get too philosophical here, but we don't realize.
Get philosophical.
If I go to a bear den, a grizzly bear den, and I'm like hanging out in there, and I'm there and I'm hanging
playing
out,
with the cubs.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. I'm playing with the cubs.
Yeah, I got it.
And then old grizzly mama bear comes in.
Yeah.
And sees me playing with her cubs, and she mauls me. I almost die, but I live. So then for the rest of my life, I hate grizzly bears. I'm buying hunting rifles. I'm going out shooting them.
Yep.
I'm anti-grizzly bear. Whenever I watch something on TV with a grizzly bear, I am so triggered.
I'm super triggered. Why? Because a grizzly bear attacked you? For what? It was doing its job? The grizzly bear is responsible for its children and survival.
But what I want to get into this is a grizzly bear is just being a bear.
That's my point. That's what it does.
People are just being people. Humans are just being humans. Mm-hmm. You can't judge someone on how responsible they are or not.
No.
Because they're just being who they are.
They're being who they are. And if they want to be responsible, phenomenal.
And I think that's where responsibility comes in whenever we display, and we talk about this a lot openly in TARTLE. I'm going to use another word here, is forgiveness. Mm-hmm. So whenever you can forgive, you can, and that's the thing I think that we kind of have a difference with, because we talk about climate stability and human rights.
Yeah.
And then you have not-for-profits that, we want them to sign up for TARTLE. But sometimes even the not-for-profit can be irresponsible and be angry. And, I cannot believe these people are throwing trash on the street.
No, I know.
You see what I'm saying? And instead of looking at it and saying, it's all our responsibility.
It's everyone's responsibility.
Right.
And it's easier to attack and make somebody the other than unify with them.
Yes.
And if we can find these things that unify us and help elevate our understanding of one another, we can recognize the co-responsibility we all have.
Yes.
Not only for the planet, but also for ourselves.
And the TARTLE Marketplace fixes that, and we know that. But what I want people to understand is there's a dimension beyond what we can see.
I'm sorry, dimension.
No, I'm talking about in the world.
String theory.
No, yeah.
With Jason
in the
Rigby.
world, we have unseen principles. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you an example. You can look at yoga just logically. Yes, and we have a lot of people that do yoga.
Yes.
That listen to this. You can look at it at just logical. I'm stretching. It opens up my muscles. It's causing me to have more mobility. I can squat, get up, get down, and those are some of the things as you get older that we can hurt you more than anything. Or you can say, why is it? Here's the unseen principle.
Yeah.
Why is it that I feel so amazing after I do it?
Yeah. Is it just the fact that my body can be more flexible?
It's because I stretched.
Is that what it is? Or is it the fact that you realize that you are in a different dimension, stepping outside of your normal bounds? If your body was essentially restricted, your mind becomes restricted in thought because you say, I have a limitation.
Yes.
And then once you go beyond that perceived limitation, you're like, wait a minute. It changes the mental state at the same time.
Yes, 100%.
It can't help, but that's what it does at a subconscious level.
Yeah, if people do yoga right and they go through just a quick 10-minute morning yoga routine, and you do that consistently, something happens to you that's unseen.
Well, first of all, you're taking responsibility for your body.
Yes. There's that word again.
Yeah, you're creating a very positive, healthy habit.
Yes.
Which you redefine your thought patterns throughout that process because you made a conscious choice to be responsible. Mm-hmm. And now you've elevated yourself. And now the way you look and perceive the world in your dimension or the way you feel things are outside of the normal or what was essentially limited before.
And that's what I'm talking about, that with responsibility, we have this dimension that we cannot see.
Yeah.
And these unseen principles begin to act. Let me give you an opposite example of this.
Great. I'd love one.
Because we know this is opposite of the TARTLE marketplace. Let's talk about any other market. We can use the fiat currency market. We could use
tuna fishing,
the New York Stock Exchange. Yeah. We can use the Hong Kong index, whatever we want. Most markets, because no one wants to take responsibility. Everybody's dishing off. You're responsible. It's about information. Who gets the information first? Right. But most markets is a psychological drama.
Oh, come on.
And that's how our market is a reaction to how we're living.
Yeah, it's not actually matching where we are at that specific time. It only after the fact, markets will feel the choices people have made prior to it. Yes. So anything systemic that's occurring, the markets are just a lagging indicator of what is really happening.
Well, we saw that with toilet paper during COVID.
Yeah, I know that.
That was a psychological drama that overreacted. What happened after there was no toilet paper? That same day in the afternoon, the stock market began to tank.
Right, because then people are psychologically like, wait a minute, supply's limited. This is
Right.
going to be worse than we thought. So it's only after the fact. But what does that mean? What does it show you? It shows you that people are being irresponsible.
Mhm.
They're only thinking of themselves.
Yes.
And what's a shame is that in times of perceived crisis, people become inherently selfish. And we got to work on that. We have to really get down to brass tacks and get the truth, the data around what's going on, down to the second with what we're doing so that we don't overreact.
Mm-hmm.
And that we can really be responsible with our decision making, which we are otherwise inherently irresponsible.
Well, I think there's a really good agnostic term that I heard, and I think this would be something that we can implement in our TARTLE philosophy.
What's that?
And that's through taking responsible by inner engineering.
Oh, inner engineering.
Yeah.
So we're taking the tech paradigm and bringing it into the...
Inner engineering.
I like that. Inner engineered. So I'm going to use my data to inner engineer myself. I'm going to recognize the things I'm doing.
Yes.
I'm going to historically look back at it, and I'm going to have a very honest output.
Right.
And then I'm going to change my actions going forward, hopefully.
Yeah. And it's like, how do you take control of the ape? Well, scientifically, we know we all, have ape-like characteristics. We talk about that all the time.
My ape index ridiculous. Have you seen the length of my arms?
Chimpanzees are the closest to us.
Yeah.
That's thus why these scientists study chimpanzees all the time. However you believe religiously, it doesn't matter. It always comes back to that. Even religions have evolution, involved in them. But what I want people to understand is whenever you look at the market, whenever you look at engineering, and let's use entrepreneurship, for example. So an entrepreneur that's successful is inner engineering his life.
Well, he has to. If he does not take on full responsibility for all of his actions and can honestly critique himself to say, that was a mistake, I can't do that again, he will fail.
Mm-hmm.
It requires a deep, deep amount of honesty with the self to figure out how to get something done. Otherwise, you're going to be running into the same old problems if you don't take the time to recognize the mistake you made. You can't evolve through your own inner engineering so that when this data is pouring into you, it's like, oh, wait a minute, I see this now. There's a different level of self-awareness that occurs with a human being when they perceive all the data coming in. So that when they do inner engineer, they inner engineer towards a positive direction.
And we know this is a principle in all markets. It's a principle in TARTLE's market. But market moves capital from dispassionate to passionate.
Wow.
And that's a law. That's just what happens.
It is. It's literally what happens. And I think it's like the way, we should give an example. Dispassion to passion. So, and a market will move.
I think when Microsoft first came out, we talked about them earlier. You had IBM.
Yeah.
And then Bill Gates was like, we need to have something that's totally different. And so in that moment, in that time, now you're seeing it with EA games and NFTs and cryptocurrency, but that latest and new technology is the passion.
Well, that's what happens. People become dispassionate with the current ways because there are a lot of issues. It's very abrupt against people's free will. Mm-hmm. It does not exude a point of self-responsibility that is required. And some people are like, that's probably not the best course we should continue to take. We're dispassionate with this. We'd love to find something new to put our passions towards.
Yes.
And the market will shift itself towards these things. So really, culture is the thing that drives the markets.
Yes.
Aside from the fact that 85% of it, if not more, is robotic trading, those algorithms are also designed by the people that say this is the output we want, depending on what's going on. So if culture changed immediately, if responsibility picked up, the algorithms would fail. Because the algorithms are designed to perpetuate, right, or magnify actual bad decision-making.
Yes.
They know how to deal against it. But when good decision-making happens, they're like, I don't know what to do.
Well, and I think that's the difference with the TARTLE marketplace is it rewards good decision-making.
The
more honest you are, the more responsible you are,
the more reward you
earn. Yeah.
So the more work you get in, the more responsibility you choose, the higher probability of an annuity for your future you get to generate.
And I want to kind of get back to the inner engineering because you used the good word choose just now.
Yeah.
It's our ability to choose how we respond.
Yeah, it's not for someone else to tell you how to respond. It's your choice. I'm going to use your term. At the end of the day.
Yes.
At the end of the day, Jason, only one person has the decision over what is going on, and that's you.
Yes.
And the only thing you really own in this moment is the ground on which your 2 feet stand, just in that small little area. So you have a choice whether or not you want to move to new grounds. You have the choice if you want to make good decisions. You have the choice to be responsible, but you have to take those steps.
And you know, I know we've all heard of Viktor Frankl, and if you haven't, I encourage people, Man's Search for Meaning, the book. He was in the concentration camps, you know, and he had to make this decision, and his thing was, however they beat me, whatever they do to me, they can't control my mind. They can't control my thoughts. I'm ultimately free. And he used a word which I love. I have final human freedom.
You do. At the
no one can impose on your free will.
Yeah, I don't want to get too dark. People will do things to you. They'll abuse you. They'll push you around.
Well, we found that in the Tartle marketplace. I mean, everyone here was honest.
Yeah, everyone was extremely
talking
honest.
about you know, family abuse and things that's happened. We've all experienced some. 23%
of people on a random sample contemplated suicide.
We've all got our ass kicked in high school. I mean, we've all had horrific things happen to us.
You just can't break mentally. That is your last foundation stone, and you got to hold that in there. No matter which trial and tribulation life throws at you, the final choice is always yours.
Yeah, and it's giving. This is really important. I think exactly what you're saying. We're flowing back and forth. It's giving freedom to the outcome of the situation.
That's what it is. You have to recognize that the outcome of this, it's your choice how it wants to be perceived, how it wants to be received, and how you want to inner engineer that data of what that outcome is going to happen. We can all see it. Most of us know when we're in the midst of making a choice, for better or worse, we can sense what that outcome is going to be.
Yes.
We're really all not that blind to it. We just choose to ignore it. And so my hope is that with all this data that people collect, with all this freedom of choice, with this growth and responsibility, with this new passion towards taking ownership and sovereignty and control over what's rightfully someone's, that it's going to elevate how quickly we evolve as human beings. And we're going to use that inner engineering to be more responsible for ourselves, for others, and for the planet.
And one last thing. The opposite of taking responsibility, the opposite of having freedom, the opposite of understanding yourself as a human is pride and ignorance. And we can see this ramping all over. Let's use an example.
Why are you talking about central banks?
Or let's bring it down to the level. Maybe you're in Nigeria.
Yep.
We have a lot of people that shout out to Nigeria, but maybe everybody else is dumping trash in this little empty lot that's next to you. So you decide, it's easy. I'm just going to dump the trash next to everybody else.
Yeah.
And so their pride and ignorance, no concern of the planet, their pride and ignorance, this is easy. Let me take the easy way out.
Path of least resistance.
Yeah. So let me not have any engineering. Let me not be a data champion. And let me just go along with everyone else.
So you can be a sheeple. You can take a path of least resistance, but if you recognize, maybe take a couple weeks and just observe nature around you. It requires pressure to evolve. It requires catalysts. It requires something of an opposite polarity for you to learn from and then grow on top of.
Right.
So when you see this and you say, I understand that this is the path of least resistance. I see that this is probably an easy thing for me to do, to just follow and not think about it. But you can take leaps and bounds in terms of your growth. And at the end of your days as a human being, when you reflect,
yes.
When you reflect,
yes,
you're going to be like, my goodness, I'm so glad I took a moment to take a route that was slightly more difficult, but the outcomes and what I've gained through experience and knowledge has made me the best human being I could ever possibly be.